This is homework help with page 145, and you're doing problems 1 through 3. So let's start with the first one. Claire wants to solve the equation, okay, right here. So negative 4 times the quantity x minus 1 equals 2/3 times x plus 1. Which step would not be an appropriate first step for Claire to take to solve for x? So there are lots of ways for her to approach this, but we're trying to pick the one that's definitely not going to work. So first one, multiply both sides by negative 4. She could do that. That's going to eliminate that fraction, so that's okay. Use the distributive property to distribute negative 1/4. That would work too as a first step. Add 1 to both sides. If she adds 1 to both sides, she's totally ignoring the order of operations, and she needs to make sure and do parentheses first. So that's the one that's not going to work. She could also multiply by 3/2. That's going to get rid of this fraction or make 1x there. So C is your answer there. That's not going to work. Next, we're going to solve this equation. So to solve this one for x, I'm going to go ahead and eliminate that fraction. So I'm going to multiply everything by 2. That way that all the, it keeps equality and all the terms will be doubled here, keeping it fair. So that means I'd have 6x. 5 times 2 would be negative 10 there. Ignore that. And then if I have half times 2, that gives me 1x. And then 2 times 2x would be 4x's. So I look to combine like terms, and that gives me 5x there equals 6x minus 10. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move my x's to one side. And that gives me negative 10 equals negative 1x. And last move, I divide by negative 1, and I'd end up with 10 for my answer. Okay. Some of you kept your fraction. I'm going to show that right here. If you don't want to see that, you can fast forward to the next part. So if you kept your fraction, you combined your like terms over here, and you got 2.5. That means when I subtract my 3x, I have negative 5 equals negative 1/2 x. To get 1 whole x here, I would multiply by the reciprocal. So that gives me 1. And that would give me 10 for my answer. So I end up with the same answer. Usually this is a common mistake here. People try to divide by half, which is right, divide by negative 1/2, but they end up getting 2.5. Okay, so let me show you that. 5 divided by 1/2. Okay, so that really means I'm taking 5 and I'm cutting it into halves or 2 pieces, which would result in 10. So if you go like this, 5, and you're dividing by 1/2, you're going to multiply by the reciprocal to do that. So that would give me 10. Okay, last one. So looking at this one, it's asking, and this maybe the wording's a little confusing. We talked about this in class. It's asking you to go plug in 4 for x. And then you're going to pick the value for c that would work. So I'm going to go and plug in 4 everywhere I see an x. And then I'm going to figure out what c has to be. So let's see, that gives me 8 plus 4 will be 12, and then half of 12 is 6. This gives me 12 here. So 12 minus what gives me 6? That has to work. Jen chose C. How did she get this answer? She probably ignored this half, okay, and probably left it 12 or something like that. So probably ignore the half there. Okay, nice job guys, thanks.